Welcome to the Sheridan Report, brought to you by MyBookie.Ag. To find out more about MyBookie.Ag, go to the banner at the top of thegruelingtruth.com, click on the banner. You will get a special promo of 100% up to your first $300 deposited. I am your co-host for the Sheridan Report, Mike Goodpasser. Right now, I'd like to welcome to the show Bobby Sheridan. How you doing, Bobby?
Mike, I'm doing great, and from about 1 o'clock yesterday Pacific time to now, couldn't be better. But I had a stretch there that wasn't that great. Lost my phone, went back where I knew I left it, and it was taken within a minute. And then I had no phone yesterday morning when should have been doing our show. Had to go get my new phone situated. And then driving home after losing my phone, I got my windshield cracked. So that wasn't a good 6 to 8 hours, but I'm doing great now and ready to go over some winners.
It was probably Fat Joe from Canada throwing something at your window and stealing your phone. All right. And we know Fat Joe still listens to the show. So what's up, Fat Joe? All right, guys. We're going to start off with Major League Baseball today. What do you got, Bobby?
You know, Mike, in Major League Baseball today, the morning stuff has already kicked off for us. We have our mix and match parlay, our three-teamer, which connected last night. You know, Mike, 8 of the last 10 days, we've hit 2 out of 3 on the three-teamer. And I always say you can mix and match with those because you can combine them with top play, combine them with something else that you may like. And they've been hitting 67%, but we got all 3 of them in last night. And it came with the Mets with their nice ninth-inning rally and held them off in the bottom of the ninth. So let's see if we can make it 2 in a row. We at one point last baseball season had 6 in a row, three-teamers. So let's see if we can get on a little run here. And 2 of them are already gone, unfortunately, and that was with the Brewers and the Rays were morning games. But we've still got the Yankees as part of that mix and match. So that's coming up at 3:35. And if you guys notice, the Yankees start their home games now during the week at 3:35. And a lot of teams have moved up an hour because of the time. You know, it takes 4 hours to play these games. But anyhow, the Yankees. So then we go to a morning game that we liked this morning. That was the Phillies. That was a straight play at plus 140. So that's off the board. Okay, here's what we got. We got 3 straights coming up the rest of the day. And we got the Giants right back. That's opened up 140, plus 140. I saw it as low as 125 over the Rockies. And predicted that last night, Mike, that the Giants was one of our plays last night based on the fact that they play very well at Coors Field. And the Giants' offense has perked up really well on the road now on 2 different road trips that we predicted. And they got Mac Williamson back into the lineup and really provided a spark for them. He hit a 3-run homer early in that game, which got him going. Ultimately, it was a 14-4 win. So we're going to come right back with them in this spot behind left-hander Derek Holland. We just like the number in the offense there. That's at 5:40 Pacific time. There are 2 4-o'clockers, top plays, twin top plays, and this is a strong 2-teamer. Both teams have gotten the action today. Both opened up at roughly a pick'em. When I looked at this last night and put the report out, they both have gotten the action today. That's the Tigers at home against the Angels and the Blue Jays at home against the Twins. Both have gotten the money today, so they're small home favorites, very tiny. It's around a pick'em. And we like a 2-teamer, cold, slam dunk parlay, the Blue Jays and the Tigers tonight. Top play parlay.
Anything else,
And
Bobby?
That's for baseball.
All right.
That's
you want to go to NHL, where last night we had a great Game 7. Bobby has no clue. It was hockey. Come on,
I'm
Bobby.
here. Yeah, you got to
catch up.
All
right. Well, a great Game 7 with the double overtime. Tonight we've got another Game 7 between the Colorado Avalanche and the San Jose Sharks. The Avalanche are a small dog at plus 115. And I'll tell you, just with the dog thing, I actually got them at like 135, 140 last night before I went to bed. If you get it at that number, I think you definitely take the Sharks or the Avalanche. I think this game is a toss-up. But I'm going to lead towards the dog here. It's a better value, Bobby.
You know, Mike, I always go in that direction, and I don't handicap hockey, so this is not coming from an educated perspective. But does the Game 7 on the road, that's got to bother you a little bit. Those are tough to win traditionally in all sports.
Yeah, but taking the minus 135 bothers me more.
Well, it's all about value, Mike. And we've hopefully taught the listeners that when you are moneyline wagering, it's all about the value. You could have a winning percentage of 50%, but have a return on investment of in the 60s. And that really is the backbone of what we try to do. And when you put things together in a parlay and you have an aggressive night that you mix and match with and try to hit parlays, you can have big scores. So I would agree with that. The Game 7 thing does bother me a little bit because it's just hard to win Game 7 on the road. But it seems like these NHL playoffs, it really hadn't mattered where these teams have played.
No, but it does seem like Game 7 helps. But the Hurricanes won Game 7 in Washington, and we did make some money off of that, I think.
Okay, great. Yeah, I'll take the Avalanche with you, Mike. We'll put a grueling truth parlay together for the listeners. We've done that, and we've hit a couple of these. And we'll use your Avalanche. We'll use my top play in the NBA, which is coming up next. And then we'll throw in one of those two top plays I gave out, either the Tigers or the Blue Jays. We'll pick one
Actually,
of those.
I used the Avalanche with the Tigers and the Blue Jays because you sounded pretty sure, and that pays like almost 7-1.
Okay, great, Mike. Let's throw one out there. That's one, and then we'll do another one where we add the basketball, and then let's just say the best bet of the day, which on my website is the basketball. So the best baseball today, I'll call the Tigers because I'm a big fan of Boyd is on the mound for them today. The Tigers over the Angels. We'll do the Tigers, the Avalanche, and then the basketball game. That'll be the brilliant truth.
That'll be like 10-1, Bobby.
Oh, we love that one, Mike. Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it will be. Check it out real quick. I mean, because you get the Rockets are over 2-1. The Avs.
No. I want to take the points with the Rockets.
You take the points. Okay.
Take the points. Yeah, let's take the points. I'm gonna make a big money line bet. I already have on Houston, but in this little parlay, let's take the points.
All right, Bobby. What do we got next? We got NBA for your top play of the day.
We got NBA, and this is no surprise to anybody that's listened to our show. We're on the Rockets, but let's back up for a second. The Rockets were down 2-0, losing 2 close games at Golden State, at Oracle Arena. And I would say Game 1 was the better shot to win. Game 2 was a bit of a stretch to win. Golden State played a sharper game in Game 2. But we stayed with them, Mike, because you and I have been saying for 2-3 months now on the shows that we thought Houston was going to win the Western Conference. And so we stayed with them, and it got us 2 wins because they came home and they won and covered 2 straight. And they did Game 4 almost blowing Golden State out. Almost got them and then had to hang on. So, bottom line is, we're at Game 5 and we're going to stick with our take, Mike. And the Houston Rockets, and I tweeted this out, we're going to win 4 in a row. I said that before Game 3. They're going to win 4 in a row, Mike. They're going to win tonight at Golden State. And they're going to win Game 6 and close it out there. You've got them maybe going to Game 7. Is that correct? Winning it in Game 7, maybe?
I think it could. I like their chances tonight, though. I think it's 50-50 at least for them.
Yeah, 50-50 at least. Yet on the money line, you're getting over 2-1. You're getting plus 220. So that's a big money line bet for me tonight, Mike. I've got a big bet with the points at 6. This will be a big part of my evening, whether they win or lose, in terms of the bottom line of me making or losing money. And so it's the last game of the day. I do have some parlays tied into them to where if those are alive, I don't have to bet and take the plus 6. I'll have the parlay money alive, but I've already bet the money line. I'm in a nice size straight wager on the money line, plus 220.
All right, Bobby. What do we got for on this day?
Okay, on this day, Mike. Oh, and I want to mention too,
wait a second.
ATP.
We got a question too. We got a question.
Okay. All right. Let me go ahead. Question.
All right. From Houston, Texas, we have Kendra, who wants to know your thoughts on the Bucks and Celtics tonight. She said it's obvious that the Celtics are probably going to lose the game, but 9 points seems like a lot. What's your take?
Well, my take is I passed the game because I agree with her. It does seem like a lot. However, you couldn't get me to bet the Celtics +9 with anybody's money.
No.
I would not take the Celtics in this spot. It's either a pass or Milwaukee. That's the way I see it because I think the Celtics are done. I think if it's a close game, Milwaukee could blow them out in the second half. They've already shown that. I think one or two things can happen. Boston could potentially open up a bit of a lead here, and Milwaukee come back and storm and get them by 6. Or Milwaukee could blow them out and have a 20-point lead at half. I think either one can happen, but I don't want the points in either situation. So if you had to play and you have want to bet a little parlay or something, and I would take Milwaukee and lay the points. It's just scary because there's only been a few series in this playoffs where we've had a 9-point home favorite. And one of them was Milwaukee when they dusted off Detroit 2 times. So they can win and cover at home. There's no doubt about that. And I see that happening tonight more likely than taking the points. But I myself passed. I don't have a dime on the game.
All right. What do you want to talk about ATP-wise?
Yeah, ATP, we had 2 tournaments in a row, and I don't always bring up our Early Risers Club, but this has been a nice return on investment for us, is the tennis, Mike, and a little bit of the golf matchups, but the tennis specifically. And I had 2 tournaments in a row that we lost money. They were on the clay. They're getting ready for the French Open, and I didn't panic too much. I was able to catch a couple big dogs that weren't on the report, but myself, I caught a couple big dogs and made back some of the money that we had lost for our report bets. But we came back strong this week, Mike. I don't know the exact numbers, but something like 8-4 or 9-4, or something like that over the last 3 days with our matchups. And those are all underdogs. So we've made a nice profit this week, and that'll be continuing tomorrow and Friday and Saturday. And so hopefully we can get some stuff going there. And we have the PGA, a new tournament from Dallas, starting tomorrow, the Byron Nelson. And I have a strong opinion on who, with some analytics on who can win that tournament tomorrow. So check in on the Early Risers Club. Are you ready for On This Day?
Yes, I am.
Okay, Mike, on this day, 1967, Muhammad Ali is indicted for refusal of induction into the U.S. Army. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this situation, Mike. It's been well talked about, but I really would love to hear your thoughts.
Let me ask you this question, Bobby. Do you think Ali was a draft dodger?
No, I don't.
Damn. Well, show's over then. Yeah. In 1964, Ali failed the U.S. Armed Forces qualifying test because his writing and spelling skills were substandard. With the escalation of the Vietnam War with Lyndon Baines Johnson, the test standards were lowered in November of 65, and Ali was reclassified 1A, I believe, which meant that he was now eligible for induction. He refused induction and publicly declared himself a conscientious objector, which is covered under the United States Constitution. Ali stated that war is against the teachings of the Holy Quran. I'm not trying to dodge the draft. We are not supposed to take part in no wars unless declared by Allah or the Messenger. We don't take part in Christian wars or wars of any unbelievers. And as Ali famously said in 1966, I ain't got no quarrel with them Viet Cong. They've never called me the N-word. This actually went to court, and he was found guilty. And it went to the U.S. Supreme Court. But the U.S. Supreme Court ruled in a decision that was handed down June 28th of 1971 that since the appeal board, there are 3 reasons to be a conscientious objector, and they could not give a reason why they denied Ali conscientious objector exemption to the petitioner, the court. So because they never gave the reason why they didn't think he was a conscientious objector, they ended up throwing the case out. Now, the great thing to me is you'll hear all these people that are like, he was a draft dodger. He wasn't a draft dodger. A draft dodger is somebody who runs to Canada or somebody who hides behind their daddy's money and power like a George Bush in Vietnam or a Donald Trump who had quote-unquote bone spurs. Those guys were draft dodgers. They were cowards. Ali was willing to go to jail. Hell, he was willing to die for what he believed in. Now, I'm not a Muslim, and I don't even play one on TV, and I wasn't at a Howard Johnson's, so I don't know a whole lot about the Muslim religion. I just know this. I know that you need to respect other people's beliefs, and if it was against his beliefs to go, he shouldn't have went. The great thing about this was early 1967, I think, is when you saw people really start to be down on the Vietnam War, and you saw protests at colleges, and I think Ali really helped this. And when you look back on it in history, the Vietnam War is something we never should have been involved in. It's something that approximately 60,000 young men and women died in, predominantly 18 to 21-year-old men. And when you look at the cases of the Donald Trumps and the George Bushes, who in 72 or 73 just kind of disappeared out of their pilot program, I think it's safe to say that poor people fight the wars that rich people get them into. And the rich people usually don't send their sons, and the rich people usually don't have to take any of the collateral damage from going to war. And I think that Ali shed a light on a war that was unjust, that should have never been fought. And when you look at Ali, I think it's that even beyond the boxing thing, the effect he had on society at large as a whole is what made him the greatest of all time. You know, Sugar Ray Robinson may have been a greater fighter. Sam Langford may have been a greater fighter. But nobody ever had the impact on America's psyche like Muhammad Ali did. We were talking the other day, me and Jeremiah. And you got Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua. And if they fight in the States or they fight in England, they draw a big crowd. You throw those two guys in the middle of Kinshasa, Zaire, nobody's coming to watch that because nobody in Kinshasa, Zaire knows who the hell they are. The thing was, Ali was a man that everybody knew. If you lived in a hut in Africa, you knew who Muhammad Ali was. And the reason you knew who he wasn't just his ability in a boxing ring. It was his ability to interject himself into the social conscience of an entire world. So when you look at that, I think that this, and what we're talking about, is the thing that defined him as a man, and even as an athlete later on, because people knew that this is a man who stood for what he believed in. And if he would have went to the war, like Joe Louis did, or so many before him that were athletes, he would have not had to fight in a war. He would have been there to entertain the troops. He would have been there just to show his face, to be propaganda for the United States government. And he didn't do that. So that is the thing that I most respect about Muhammad Ali.
Right, Mike. You know, your last 5 minutes that you spoke about Muhammad Ali and this situation is why, and I'm not just saying this, is why you're one of the best sports hosts, analysts, on the airwaves anywhere, because that is so eloquently put and so great. I really appreciated listening to that. And my take on all that after listening to you is that, you know, these legends like Muhammad Ali, they transcend sports. And there's other examples. And I just couldn't help but think about shaking Muhammad Ali with his Parkinson's disease, holding that Olympic torch, and how he ended his life in the sports world beloved. And boy, Mike, thank you very much for that. And that's great stuff. And no, I don't think he's a draft dodger either. I didn't know all the stuff that you just said, but I agree with you.
Well, I'll tell you, great movie to watch about a conscientious objector. Have you ever seen Sergeant York?
No, I haven't.
You got to go watch Sergeant York. It was a Gary Cooper movie in the 40s about, of course, Sergeant Alvin York, I think was his name, who ended up, he fought and became a hero in World War I. But he was a guy that was a conscientious objector up until a point where he decided to go. And it's a great movie. It shows why he was a conscientious objector. And the great thing about Sergeant York was he ends up getting all kind of medals as a war hero, because it's just, I don't want to spoil the movie for you. You go on Netflix. I don't think it's on Netflix, but you could probably find it on Amazon. might cost a couple bucks, but Gary Cooper and Sergeant York is a great movie. And when we talk about athletes shouldn't be heroes, Muhammad Ali did things in his life that were not great. But overall, when you're somebody who stands up for what you believe in, fights for what you believe is right, and you don't care about the consequences, you don't get that much anymore. And the thing, Colin Kaepernick rings to mind here. I don't agree with Colin Kaepernick, but I admire his willingness to put everything on the line for what he believed in. It doesn't matter if I believe that or not, but it's just the fact that he believes that so strongly that he basically ended his own career for that belief. I admire that. And I think people miss that. I mean, we live in a society where if you have differing opinions anymore, the people that differ from you look down on you instead of just accepting that that's your opinion and that's the way you are. And it would be a much better world if everybody would just respect each other's opinions. But I don't think it's ever going to happen.
Right, Mike. It's not going to happen.
Unless it's Steve Risley, I don't respect his opinions because he picked Villanova to beat Michigan last year.
Well, yeah, or I was listening to last night's show late as I was doing my work, and I had your guys' show on from the morning, and that was a good show, Mike. And I haven't heard today's either, but yesterday's for the fans was Mike and Steve were bickering about stuff with each other, and that was a lot of fun to listen to. And he wasn't thinking that you should have an opinion on movies, that.
No, it wasn't movies. It was something. Oh yeah, it was the Avengers.
The action heroes that are the fake heroes, that made up heroes. That you're just not into that. And he was saying, well, you shouldn't have an opinion. And you were saying, well, I don't have an opinion. My opinion is I don't want to go watch them. Period.
Yeah. So they're stupid to me. It doesn't. But you know what? I never told Risley he was stupid for watching it. I never made fun of. Well, I made fun of you a little bit for going to see it, but we'll leave that alone. But that was just all in good fun. But all right, Bobby. We're going to go ahead and we're going to wrap it up. Do not lose your phone. If Bobby doesn't lose his phone, we will be back tomorrow at 2 o'clock for the Sheridan Report. So make sure you check us out then. Make sure you go check out the handicapping guide with Phil. You want to tell them where they can find Phil. And also, Bobby has the new best play of the day. And you want to explain that a little bit also?
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, first of all, the best play of the day is something that we've put on the website, and it's been really well received. It's on the homepage. It's for $5. It's the best bet of the day. And so it's just one game. So you don't get the whole report. You don't get all that, but you get what is the top play for $5. And that's on the website, SheridanReport.com. And it's, we had 9 sales the first day we put it up, and I think 12 yesterday. So it's being well received. And our best bet of the day going back over 12 months, Mike, is hitting about 67%, the number one play. So it would be a top play that is my number one top play. And, that's going to be the Rockets tonight at +6. So that's for your fans, Mike. I'm not going to put a free play anymore on the website because that's for the Grueling Truth listeners. And anyhow, I appreciate you bringing that up. That's all for my computer guy. That's all his money. That's how he makes his money. He handles the website. He handles all that stuff. He does behind-the-scenes stuff for me, and he makes some of that, gets his money from that kind of generated money. And that's why the prices are low. And so anyhow, and then the handicapping guide is actually his father, who's been a lifelong horse race handicapper, who's in his 70s now, who's put together a formula of his almost 40 handicapping factors right from the daily racing form and put it into a spreadsheet that pops out numbers on each horse for each race. And he's got the top 7 horses selected for each race at about 6 different tracks daily. So his name is Phil Rankin, and he was on our Derby preview show, and him and Vince did a great job, and we're going to get him back, I'm sure, for the Preakness, and maybe even a real special guest, maybe a Hall of Fame jockey we're working on. So anyhow, that's coming up, Preakness, in a couple of weeks, but that's he can be found at thehandicappingguide.com or click on THG ad that you can find on thegruelingtruth.com.
All right, guys, and that ad is about halfway down on the right-hand side of the page. We are going to go ahead and wrap the show up for tonight, and I want to remind you, you can hear all of our shows on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spreaker, Stitcher, TuneIn, wherever you find sports podcasts. You'll find The Grueling Truth. So, for Bobby Sheridan, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.